So I posted a TikTok and it got decent reception. I was just talking about the fact that a lot of music artists, they don't educate themselves on the music business and get surprised when they get bamboozled by A&Rs, managers, record labels that come to them with what seems to be attractive deals and infrastructure, etc. But in reality, when they're speaking to you, they're just throwing flamboyant words around, expecting you to, grab whatever they're saying. Now, what ends up happening for a lot of acts and a lot of artists, because they don't understand it, or maybe, they didn't go and invest into books like this, for example. I've become literally an ambassador for Don Passman, thinking about it now. But the author of the book, by the way. But in saying that, like, because they don't educate themselves in the industry and don't actually study the career path that they're in, they end up getting into situations that aren't necessarily the greatest. Now, what I have here is an interview from Jam Jam. Now, shout out to Jam Jam. I met him about a year ago now, and from the conversations that I've had with him personally, the guy knows his stuff, like, generally speaking. And in saying that, I haven't necessarily watched the interview as a whole, but when I saw the title of Independent Exec Blueprint and understanding what he personally stands for, I wanted to understand the perspective of someone that's actually done it before. For those that don't know, he was the success behind people like Dutch, along other acts as well. And it's very, very interesting to see what, people within the industry, people that have done it, have to say about this exact same topic. So let's see, man.
I was more like the go-between, me and the team was the go-between between the artist and the label to stop the artist attacking the label. Because at the time, and I've noticed it, there's an atmosphere in music globally where it's us versus them. I'm getting into business with this person, but they're the enemy.
It doesn't
Are
make
they wrong
sense
to feel like that though?
It's not smart to feel like that. It's definitely not smart to feel like that. I don't think there may be position. It depends on the kind of deal you have. It depends on the brand that you have. It depends on the vision you have for an artist and your team. But I think personally, you shouldn't get into business with people that you have that mentality with personally.
I agree. And to be honest, when he's saying it depends on the deal structure you have, etc., it goes back to what I was literally just saying. Like, a lot of people aren't educated on the type of deal structure that's actually out there and asking the right type of questions as well. One thing that helped me, I've never signed to a publishing or anything like that before. I've just done this independent, but I work with people within in label infrastructures, platinum songwriters, people that have Grammys, all sorts of things. And one thing that all of them tend to say is that they semi-regret signing whatever deal they had, because if they had known, they would have properly waited a bit longer to get a bigger check. Or if they had known, they probably would have negotiated harder to make sure that it's more favorable on their behalf, right? And it's a common theme within this industry. It seems to be a case where, and I get it, like, we're creatives, we get into the industry, we want to make music is what drives us. But the reality is, when I say that the music game is a business, you have to treat it like it, I know people don't want to hear it, but think of it like this. You got a business like McDonald's, right? Or any fast food chain. Imagine if you went into McDonald's, for example, you wanted to order, I don't know, a bunch of nuggets, whatever it was. All of a sudden you go in there and there's no one on the till. Or you got someone in there and they don't even know how to work the till to actually take your order. Or you got the order placed and then you got someone going to the back and then the nuggets that they're actually giving you is overfried and it hasn't been cooked or prepared properly because they didn't actually study the path and the job description that they were actually in and perfect that skill. Do you get what I'm saying? A lot of people in the music game, we don't study our craft and we don't understand the business and get surprised when the business now duns people out. Like, I get it, some people are in some very, very sticky situations. Like, I've had conversations with artists that they're semi-depressed because of the situation that they're in. They're not able to do anything underneath the label, etc. And I sympathize with that, generally. But I thought as if though it's even more important for like the platform that I'm looking to build right now, which is just educating people on just at least the foundations. I'm not saying anything from someone that's been in the game from 30 years or something like that. It's someone, my message is very, very simple. I'm explaining that you need to understand the business you're getting into for someone that's been in the industry for up to 7 years now. Do you know what I mean? So let's carry on watching the video and see what Jam Jam has to say.
Obviously, I can't comment on everyone's situation because some people have really been wrong. Some people ain't been allowed to release music because they're having vision and sound choice
Literally,
issues with their
like,
labels, so they're not dropping anything. And that's not good for no artist. You're going to end up hating your label after that. I even have it in my own artist sometimes. You know what I mean? So I can understand that situation there. But personally, for me, my advice to every artist is this. If you want to be the biggest in the world, apart from Bad Bunny, show me the big top 10 artists in the world that's not with a major label.
It's facts.
Show me them.
Fact. I saw this clip on Made You Think, and I saw a lot of people like commenting on there, like mixed response, etc. But what he's saying is facts. Now, if you're looking to be the biggest in the entire world and go to the point where, you know, you're getting put into magazines and getting like Grammy nominations and stuff like that, and being in the industry, like what, you know, remember like when you were growing up and then you would just watch TV and see like people that you would feel like, these guys aren't human, like they're separate from us. That type of celebrity status, then of course you're gonna need label backing, etc. But for majority of people, when I speak to them, although people say, yeah, they want to be the biggest and stuff like that, majority of people just want to be able to create music full time and get paid from it. Like that's what people really care about. And when you speak to a lot of the artists that have actually hit it to those mainstream places as well, even them lot are depressed as well because maybe they're getting cheated out of a lot of money. We saw what happened, for example, with an artist like Asher Kerr, for example, where his deal structure wasn't necessarily the greatest and he had to buy himself out of it, for example. Shout out to Asher Kerr, shout out to the YBNL lot as well. I believe Olamide is still like a go. I'm even going to do some reactions over that as well. But so many cases of this happening time and time again. So the point of what I'm basically trying to say is that, look, if you were looking to be the biggest and of everything and striving for fame, you need a label. Whereas if you're looking to monetize, right, build a core fan base, sell direct to your fans, and actually have that community aspect of it, where I'm not saying like you have maybe 10K followers. You can do this at 100K followers. You can even do this at 500,000 followers. There's people in America, for example, that you would have never ever heard of. There's people in Africa that you would have never ever heard of, but they've built a fan base that, look, they're able to actually kill it, and they're doing it without a label or doing it with created deal structures with a label. So that's what I say to that, man, really.
Show me who in the top 10.
But what are you saying is facts, though?
Globally, let's say top 25, not with a major label. There's a reason for that. I don't want to be the person that goes against what works and facts. And it's like, I feel like in this country, even globally, there's such a negative spin on record companies. And when you really, really look at it, like, why are you being negative towards something that is built that you rate the most? Surely you got to look at it and think, if they can go into these buildings and become Drake, Taylor Swift, okay, she might be independent now, but was she in the beginning? Justin Bieber, flipping Imagine Dragons, Queen, Elton John, I can go on and on and on.
The household names.
Unless you're going to look at Arctic Monkeys, who's with Domino, or a Basement Jaxx, who is with bloody Excel. Because look, even Excel, they signed Adele for her to become Adele. They done their thing. Eventually, what did? They partnered up with who? Columbia, who? Sony. Look at her now. Like, show me someone, apart from Arctic Monkeys, who's with an independent label. And it's always going to be exception to the rule. So there's Arctic Monkeys, there's a Bad Bunny. But what about the rest of them? Because if that was normal, then there'll be loads of them. Central C's with a major label. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, my job when I was managing those artists was trying to maintain a common ground so we can grow them, because I know, and for me as a businessman, my ambition is to be where those niggas are. So I need to make sure that this asset, which is the artist, stays in tune, working with this company so we can grow. But the problem I find in the British label system,
I think before he even gets into that, like I said, what he's saying is factual. And a lot of people tend to use the exception of the rule to actually disprove the rule. I don't think like that, right? Now, what I do believe is that the reason why we see all of these, you know, bad horror stories and stuff like that, it goes back to what I said at the beginning of the video. People don't know the music business. They don't understand the terms that they're getting into before even getting into it. Outside of that, another thing is people don't see it as a business, like I always say, and it's kind of like I'm preaching this message, bro. Like, it's crazy. But people don't look at it as a business, so they get hurt when people now take their passion and exploit it, because you weren't looking at it as a business, you're looking at it as a passion project. If it gets treated like a passion project, you can't complain. Do you get what I'm saying? If you go into, this is a case scenario, what I advise artists to do. If you say, look, I want to be the biggest in the world, or I want to get to a point where, cool, I become a household brand, so on and so forth, and I need a label, I understand that. amazing. That's completely fine. But you also need to have the mentality of, cool, I need to partner with the label for X amount of period to leverage their networks, their resources, leverage the connections that they have, leverage the infrastructure that they have. Then, maybe in the beginning, you don't have the most favorable deal, but guess what happens? Over a period of time, you build that leverage, and guess what happens after that? You're able to now dictate to another label, okay, cool, do you want to do a deal like this, or do you want to do an infrastructure like that, so on and so forth. Or you can go independent straight after, and then do like a publishing deal, for example, straight after that. So there's different ways to maneuver in this game, but because people lack the knowledge, it's very, very hard for people to understand before they even get into it, how to even position the structures that people put in front of them.
Is, which they don't have in America, is there's people in roles in the British label system that predominantly shouldn't be there in some cases. I don't know why they're there, and I don't want to knock them, but I feel like until the right people are in certain positions, then they're going to understand exactly what to do with certain artists. But I never had that case with me.
Are you saying wrong roles or wrong people in the right roles?
That's what I was like, when he said that, I was thinking, what?
Wrong roles.
What
A
are
mixture
those
of both.
What are the roles?
And see, now because I know how the system works, I don't think it's the people's, I think it's the systems creating roles, and those roles are not what they really meant to be doing because they've changed the meaning of those roles. So most A&Rs are just data collectors or managing paperwork and silly things. They're not developing artists.
Facts.
Do you know what I'm saying to you? They're not looking at artists and saying, look, I'm going to go and get you some hits, which they can do. They're not being presented like that. Do you know what I mean? Or encouraged, you go out there and find hits and give it to our roster. And then,
but More Time is one of those ones where I agree with what he's saying. A lot of people have been put in the wrong type of position. Is based off of like clout and who's the best person that's scrolling on TikTok and running the algorithm and seeing who's popping in real time. Like I had one guy say to me, like he was able to get an artist offered maybe 6-figure deals and stuff like that. And I was like, bro, that's not necessarily special. Like if you get a song that's popping on TikTok, you'll be surprised. Like a lot of labels will definitely throw upwards of 6 figures at you. Do you know what I mean? But after that, after the tax and you're breaking it with the manager, etc., in reality, you're looking at maybe taking on, anyway, let's not even get into numbers. But in saying that, I agree with what he's saying in terms of the wrong people have been put into position. But also, from the label side as well, the game's completely changed. You have to realize the music game went through a period of time where it used to be very lucrative from the label's perspective, where they were selling CDs and they were selling a lot of merch and touring was a great big thing, etc. And the labels could actually make money direct from the music rather than solely from the artist, for example. Then when the digital era came into play, that's when we started seeing 360 deals come about because music lost its inherent value. People stopped going to shops to buy CDs into now, just going on bloody Spotify and then just streaming music. Do you know what I mean? You're paying, how much is it to pay Spotify now? You're paying less than £20, for example, to get access to millions worth of songs. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. So in saying that, labels have to start monetizing through, the artist's likeness. So putting them into brand sponsorships and, eating from their tours, eating from their merch, eating from absolutely everything just to actually make enough money to make ends meet. But a lot of people don't realize the music labels have actually been in a loss for a few years now. Like, it wasn't until recently that they were able to actually get back on their feet and actually break even. Now they're making money again. I'll give you an example. So as you guys can see, I'm checking on the World Economic Forum and there's a lot of resources out there showing you, but streaming literally transformed the record label system forever. So before we had the iPod, right, they were able to actually hit revenue of, let's say, 20 billion. Then it got to a point where the digital platforms came into play. And as you can see, around 2010, it got to a point where they were making less than 10 billion, right? Or near enough 10 billion. It's only recently, as of, I believe, the past 3 to 5 years, that they've been able to start climbing towards where they were actually at in the first place. So when we're looking at music record labels and actually understand the decisions that they're making and why they make the decisions, they're in a business where even themselves, they're losing out on a bunch of money due to the whole digital era and the whole streaming, etc. So that's the reason why I don't personally demonize labels. The only time I demonize labels is when it comes from an artist perspective of, okay, cool, they've done an artist dirty, etc., and took advantage of an artist. But is a chicken or egg argument, because I always say, look, as an artist, you need to make sure you stand on business so that you don't get taken advantage of by a label system as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's two sides of it anyways, but let's head back into the interview anyways. And that's the reason why, and that's part of the reason why a lot of music labels, they actually run like proper businesses. So they have annual reports, they have quarterly reports, etc. If an A&R isn't performing and bringing them an artist that's going to trend and actually make them money so they can get back to where they once was, they're going to get fired just like that. We've gone from the ages where you're afforded the time that it takes to really develop an artist. We've gone past the age of where we're afforded the opportunity for even artists themselves to develop. It used to be a case where artists will literally spend years and years and years and years and years developing themselves, developing how to perform, etc. That's why you got a lot of artists right now, they can't perform, bro. They can't sing, they can't perform, they can't write songs, etc. And we're always complaining about why the music has lost its taste and lost its passion, etc. Now that we're in the game and it's just like this as it is right now, I don't want to complain and be like, oh, I wish we can go back then, because we're never going back to those times. As an artist, it's down to you to pick up the responsibility to hone in on your craft, to do your own artist development and make sure you're staying on top of it. But anyways, hopefully I was able to give you a clear and concise reason as to why labels operate they actually do.
And then make them go sky high. They're not really doing that. You know what I mean? So I think that's where a lot of confusion comes from. Secondly, as well, a lot of A&Rs that are in certain companies, I don't know about now, but back in the day when I was around, because I was around a lot of the labels, some of them don't understand who this person is on the environment that they come from and how to handle them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's true.
And that's not the person's fault either. I just feel like as a business model, hire people. I'll give you another example. The police do it. They go and recruit sometimes from your area and police you with people from your area. But when they was doing it before with people from country coming down into your area to police you, there's always confusion and madness. Now they're like, all right, cool. Yeah, we're going to have some of those people there too. Yeah, because that's our people. But, hey, cuz, you man over there, we want a Turkish man, we want a black man, we want this. Yeah, you man come be police now. Come into the community and start police them. You know what I mean? You know how to interact with them. When you're talking to them, they can't have this excuse of, oh, you're being racist all the time because it's a Turkish man that's talking to you or it's a black man talking to you. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's what we kind of need in the labels. And I think they're trying it now. They're getting it better. But yeah, I think that's going to be the future of making sure that people in your position, and that's why Colin works so great. Because Colin's from the hood, he's from Tottenham. Do you know what I'm saying? So he knows the thing.
For those that don't know, this is Colin. It's Colin Lester. He's behind a lot of great acts such as Craig David, etc. So in your spare time, do your research and research into this guy. This is what we need. You know, we need more examples of people that are being from their environment. They understand the environment, they understand the artist, but they also understand the business, which goes back to my main point anyways. You need to understand the business. And one thing that Jam Jam actually said to me in a quick conversation we had quite a while back actually, he said that a lot of labels should actually start tapping into music producers and actually engineers as well, because they're the heir to the streets. As an engineer, for example, I hear the next person, you know what I mean? I'm in the trends. I understand, okay, this is the way, this is how we're going to start mixing records, this is how we're going to start producing records, so on and so forth. The engineers and the producers are the people that drive and change the genres. Do you get what I'm saying? If the producers keep on pushing a genre and pushing beats out in that specific genre, it stays alive. As soon as the producers become demotivated and they're just like, you know what, I don't really like this, etc. And also the audience aren't receptive to it anymore, guess what ends up happening? The genre dies. That's what happened to Afro Swing. That's what almost happened to drill, for example. It would be very, very interesting if labels could actually start looking at producers and engineers to become A&Rs within their system. But guys, I'm going to leave the link to this down below. I don't want this video to get too long because it's longer as it is right now. But without further ado, I'll see you guys tomorrow. And outside of that, if you want to join a community that's full of people looking to learn about the music business, how to monetize, and actually how to become full-time within the game as well, you literally have a community, you have direct access to me. So join down below. It is a paid community, but I will make sure to give you the value that you need.